Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining eCHO episode 201. Last eCHO, we passed that very big hallmark of hitting 200 eCHO sessions. So yeah, here we are, 201. This week, we're going to be covering Nico's predictions. So 2026 networking, security, and eBPF predictions. So I'm super excited to see Nico's thoughts on all of this. How are you feeling, Nico?
I'm a bit nervous. It's just I know you're going to grill me, and I'm sure the viewers will kind of disagree, or maybe hopefully they will agree on some of them.
Well, I mean,
But
hopefully they agree. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things to take into account. I suppose. A bit of housekeeping before we kind of kick things off. As always, if you have questions or you want to get involved, please get involved. Comments, say hello, whatever. We love to have any input from people watching wherever you are. Upcoming episodes on the February the 6th, we will be covering Cilium 1.19 release, and the following one after that, which I'm very intrigued about. Duffy is going to be doing an AI lab. I don't know the details in terms of what he's going to cover. I don't know what he's going to show, but yeah, that should be interesting moving forward. Nico released an AI lab recently as well. Is that not right?
Yeah, we've got this AI lab. I don't know if Duffy is going to go through it, but we had some fun like putting together a little lab with Raphael. We show around showing an application on a CPU. We can't afford GPU, so we just we had to yeah, we had to find something that we could build on a CPU, but it's a lot of fun. So I would say, yeah, go and try it out on isurveillance.com/labs if you can.
Excellent. Yeah, cool. A couple of hellos as well. Hello there, Simmer UK. Hello there, Joseph. And hello, Tony. Hey, thank you very much for joining, everyone. So some other upcoming topics is going to be, and I know this is very dear to somebody's heart on the call, the Cilium up and running book launch. Exciting time, surely, Nico.
Yeah, and actually, we have a couple of the reviewers as well, kind of watching us. Tony and Joseph were both kind of part of the review process and really helped us creating a better book. It's actually on Amazon.com now, right? So you can actually go and find the book, pre-order it at a discount, or you can get it for free. If you want the PDF, you'll get the PDF on our website. And if you come to KubeCon, you'll be able to get an actual copy of the book. So I can't wait, but we are so close. Sign if you want my little scribble and James and Phillips. But yeah, no, it's been a brilliant team effort, and I was thinking about it because we started working on it about 12 months ago, like actually starting working on the writing. And so yeah, after kind of a year of my life working on this.
Yeah, well, congratulations on getting it through to you and everybody that was part of it.
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant.
Excellent. We do have somebody from LinkedIn. Unfortunately, it doesn't give us your name, but hello to you in Barcelona right now. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
Other things that are up and coming. The eBPF hackathon that we recently closed out a couple of weeks ago. We're going to be doing some eCHO sessions all around that, and we have some end user stories coming up as well. Some other last bits. The Cilium Con schedule is now live. We are Christmas is over, New Year is over. We are now in conference season, as we are always in conference season. And yeah, there's a lot up and coming in the next couple of weeks. We have Cisco Live up and coming. There's a lot of topics around eBPF, Cilium, Tetragon, and the various other things that are kind of happening inside of Cisco from iSurveillance. And then there is KubeCon up and coming. Again, talks, eBPF, Cilium, networking, and CiliumCon as well. And the CiliumCon schedule went live a week or two ago as well. So you can now go and see all of those sessions. So that's the housekeeping out of the way. Are we ready, Nico?
I'm ready. Let's face first. I guess, are we doing the verdict on last year's predictions then first?
Well, I think we should probably do this properly with a bit of pizzazz. I hope you're ready, Nico. So here we go. Thank you, everybody, as always. Before we kind of kick off, well, we're going to do Nico's predictions. Let's do this properly with some terrible animations. Here we go. So there's Nico's crystal ball and Nico's predictions. And as Nico mentioned, before we kind of kick off 2026, we're actually going to do a recap of Nico's predictions from last year. So I think Nico had about 8 or 9 predictions last year in terms of, are they solely yours, or do you kind of outsource them and things like that? Or is it just kind of how you're seeing the world?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's always like, I know it gets published on iSurveillance.com, but it's kind of my ideas for better or worse. They're like, so I own them, and I might regret them. So we'll find out.
Well, I know. So yeah, people who are watching, if you want to chime into any of these, feel free. But Nico's first prediction from around this time last year is that eBPF will come to Windows. Now, one thing that I have done this week internally inside of iSurveillance is poll whomever, engineering, marketing, anybody inside of iSurveillance to get their kind of thoughts on Nico's predictions. And eBPF will come to Windows. Got a flat 1 out of 10, unfortunately. No, I mean, it's not without trying. Obviously, inside of iSurveillance, we are trying very hard because we there's a big push to do this as a thing, kind of moving forward.
So I mean, who's to blame? Is it like Microsoft? Is it is it us? Well, I guess what's holding us back here? Because I feel like I saw eBPF was going to come to Windows. I heard this before I even joined iSurveillance. I was almost 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, there has been holdups getting things signed. When I say signed, I don't mean a bit of paperwork. What I mean is Microsoft, the kernel for Windows, stability issues in Microsoft is kind of plagued from things like Windows 95, the blue screen of death and things like that. So they are, what's the best way of putting this? It's very hard to introduce things into Windows from an outside-in perspective. And in order to do that, modules need to be signed so that they're secure and they can validate where they come from and things like that. And it is not an easy process. So, yeah, eBPF has not yet come to Windows. Now, it would be unfair for us not to point out that there is a huge amount of work that is still going ahead. The engineering team inside iSurveillance and inside Microsoft and others, because this is happening in open source, are still working very hard to bring all of the eBPF goodness into Windows. But sadly, in 2025, eBPF did not make it into Windows.
so one out of two. Well, yeah, that's a great start.
Well, we've all been hoping for this for quite some time, but we're just not there yet, unfortunately.
Okay. It can only go up from here, so that's good.
Yeah, so maybe 2026 will be the year for eBPF in Windows.
Yeah,
we shall see. Nico's prediction number 2. Oops, wrong screen. AI and eBPF security revolution will arrive, but you should remain cautious. I suppose if asking you to kind of think back 365 days in terms of what you were thinking when you wrote this.
And I think that's, I mean, I kind of echoed a similar theme in one of my predictions for this year. So maybe we keep that topic for this year's prediction, but um, I'm not sure we've seen necessarily the evolution yet around the revolution. We've seen the evolution, we've not seen the revolution.
Yes, yeah, and I guess I would add that like AI at this point is not something I personally would put in the same category as security. Like, I mean, at the moment, people are throwing AI and producing tons of stuff with AI. I wouldn't think, from what I see at least, security hasn't been, at least in the last year, maybe your prediction next will be that people will be thinking more from a security perspective.
I think we've made lots of progress actually from like even like a year ago. I remember asking ChatGPT, or create me some like network policies, and
Yeah,
it was pretty average. It was like the structure was okay, but it wasn't. It looked like YAML, but it wouldn't be accepted by Cilium.
yes, yeah,
Now, what I've done, some of the projects I've been working on recently, using MCP servers and Copilot and stuff, and it has significantly improved. So yeah, we're not there yet, but I think it's coming.
yeah. I agree. I tried to do the same with Tetragon about 6 months ago, having it generate Tetragon policies, and because it can pull syscall knowledge, because it's basically read through the Linux kernel source code and stuff like that. So it's amazing because it does produce something, and you look at it and you think, "Oh, that's all looks the part," and then you're like, "Right, let's apply it to Tetragon." And Tetragon's like, "This makes no sense whatsoever." It's like, you've hallucinated most of the YAML, and some of it doesn't make sense. So it's getting there. Yeah. So we had a lot of people kind of put together their score on this, and unfortunately, you got a flat 3 out of 10 on this one. So,
yeah, I can't. No, that's fair. That's fair. I can't disagree.
So this is a good one. Funding of eBPF startups will soar.
Yeah, but I think, and I don't track it as closely as Bill Mulligan or would do, but I think the fact that I think there were a number of startups that have been acquired over the year. Again,
Yeah.
I've not exactly looked back, but and I think more are have been created. I think eBPF remains like a hot technology. So I think I think I probably got like a 6 or something by my teammates.
Okay. Well, I mean, I do agree. It's been, I think, one of the problems that we've kind of seen. I'm not going to get into geopolitics or anything, but it has been kind of topsy-turvy a little bit, and there has been a bit of a contraction in the IT space after COVID and things like that. So I think some of that has held back some of kind of like the change in the IT industry a little bit. But I do agree, we have seen a number of startups be acquired over the last 12 and 18 months and things like that. So I don't know whether I'd go for soar, but I would definitely see increasing.
Okay.
So yeah, your score on this one, I would say, averages out at about 6.5 out of 10. So that's not too bad.
There we go.
There we go. Cool. Well, getting better. Tony's got one prediction he wants to add in.
I mean, I don't know what.
Do we have any FreeBSD kernel developers that want to kind of get involved in adding eBPF to FreeBSD? I don't know, but big bit of work.
Yeah.
Biggest question: will it land in FreeBSD before it lands in Windows?
there was a prediction I was going to make because I came up with some conversations with Liz actually about eBPF for mainframe.
Okay.
And I didn't make it because I was like, this is gonna be too out there, but apparently it's a thing. Or
yes,
has so.
Is it the IBM Power whatever series that runs Linux? So there will be eBPF on mainframes.
There we go. So that's the next eBPF startup for you.
Well, there we go. Yeah.
IBM started.
Well, they still have their big mainframes, don't they? That's where their big money comes from.
Yeah.
So, prediction number 4: will AI become our next 10x eBPF developer? Your thoughts on this?
I think if you look back at 2025, the new word came up, right? There was the AI slump that didn't exist a year before. And I would love, again, you were involved in the eBPF hackathon. You would have seen whether AI has helped people, and we have some participants from the hackathon on, watching us today. But I think that it's again like massively improve how it can maybe create eBPF programs and also the relevant code that comes with it. But you've been doing lots of coding around using eBPF for some of your use cases. So do you code with an agent? Does it help you?
So at this point in time, I have never used an agent to do any coding. My angle at the moment is largely about protecting what's happening. You're kind of not sandboxing, but sitting in the path as such. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking of eBPF Summit, the hackathon. Sorry, two things kind of come to mind. But first, yeah, the hackathon. I want to say we, largely Donia and Liz and some of the others, we had to kind of think a little bit about, kind of the wording in terms of, we want you to be part of the hackathon. Like, and if your submission is using AI to help you develop it, that's okay. The main thing is, though, that we would like you to be able to understand the code that has actually been created with the help of AI. And I think that is kind of a bit of a balancing thing at the moment, and it's one of the things now. So there's a big issue opened. A lot of people are commenting. It's actually a discussion in terms of how best to proceed inside of the Cilium repository for AI generated submissions and things like that. Like, because you can create code and you can submit code, but ultimately people need to understand how that code path works. So, like, there's always been drive-by submission. Somebody turns up, submits a bunch of code and disappears again, and that becomes technical debt. It may add new features, but ultimately, if you need to change those features, that person is now gone and nobody understands that code path anymore. So it's...
I read a comment on LinkedIn this week. Somebody was saying that AI will be reducing technical debt over the next few years. And I think it will equally reduce and create. I think it's fair to say, like, if you could run through AI through existing code bases, could maybe do a decent job at cleaning things up. But I think also it comes with triple the amount of rubbish that it might create.
I think the tuning of models, I mean, things are improving and things will continue to improve. I've seen some hilarious things and I've seen some good stuff generated with AI at the moment. So, but yeah, I think when we say eBPF developer here, I guess we're talking about AI actually creating eBPF code itself, which itself comes with barriers. Understand the verifier, programming in C, for instance, and stuff like that. And yes, we did have a couple of entries from the eBPF hackathon who said, we've used AI to do this, and it did actually generate some actual working eBPF code. So,
okay,
people are there, and it can do that.
All right, so tell me the score gone.
People didn't agree with you. I would say you got about 4.5 out of 10 for that one at this point. But again, I think, as it matures and improves, it will be able to generate better eBPF code. Because again, there's not a lot to learn on at this point, I guess, as well, as one of the problems. An LLM needs a lot of stuff to learn.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, prediction number 5. AI hallucinations will have repercussions on our networks.
I guess we don't have evidence yet that AI or LLM essentially might have caused some outage. Well, maybe the AWS outage in US East 1. Maybe it was who knows? Maybe it was AI.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I don't think people will be forthcoming that they crash their own network because they over relied on AI. I think it's happening silently, and I think it
Well,
will
I mean,
happen even
transparency
more.
is always an issue with outages, isn't it? Like, not
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
likes to tell you what they did when they broke everything. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I imagine I didn't score well, and I think I was probably, but I think it's mainly because of the lack of evidence.
Well, I mean, you've got numbers across the board here, like a 10, a 5, a 3, a 2. I think you average out about 6.5, 7 or so on
Okay,
that one.
all right. So
So, yeah, I mean,
getting there.
yeah, there have been some quite amusing people who've let AI agents kind of have control of their Linux machines and stuff like that, and it's kind of RM minus RF'd in the wrong directory and basically wiped out everybody's work and stuff like that, thinking it was being helpful. I was like politely goes, "Oh no, I won't do that again." It's like, well, too late now.
Yeah.
So there are repercussions. I think maybe we're not seeing everything, and I don't know. It's intriguing to see who's giving the keys to the kingdom to AI agents at the moment.
Yeah.
So NetKit will see a quasi immediate widespread adoption.
Yeah, and actually there is a question which is comment about what's
Yep.
next after NetKit. So I mean, clearly I was wrong, right? But also the people that have adopted it, they have seen like massive benefits, right? Oh, and maybe people who don't know, NetKit is a replacement for the virtual Ethernet, which is essentially that you run eBPF programs inside the pod, and it was created by the one of the co-founder of eBPF and Celium, Daniel Borkman, and that's kind of the idea around NetKit was trying to get the host and the container to have the same level of networking performance. And we've seen some evidence again by the people who have adopted it, and I think there is the ByteDance or TikTok. And I
Yeah,
think
and
there was
Meta as well.
Meta, yeah. And I think they both said something like 10-15% performance improvement by just adopting NetKit, which is pretty good across a fleet of
100%, yeah.
thousands and millions of servers. I think maybe the fact that it relies on a quite a recent Linux kernel still means premature.
Yeah, so I mean, it has had massive adoption in places where they have like kernel teams and stuff like that. So, as you mentioned, Meta, they're filled with kernel developers and things like that and they roll their own stuff. NetKit, I think, requires at least a 6.8 kernel, which is, kind of relatively new. And asking, kind of a lot of industries to kind of quickly update and stuff like that is sometimes can be asking a lot if they've got a lot of other fires to fight and things like that. So we know the performance gains are there. There is also some other very cool stuff kind of coming up with NetKit as well. So the question kind of what's next after NetKit, not really after NetKit, it's kind of what's more with NetKit. So I think a good example really is Daniel Bjorkman did a talk recently at Linux Plumbers, where what they're doing now is they're bringing NetKit into QEMU and KVM in order to skip out another step to improve virtualization networking. So, kind of the way that it short circuits networking from inside the container to outside the container. They're now doing it from inside the VM to outside the VM. So again, kind of reducing all those context switches and getting much more line rate to line rate kind of network speed. So you got a good. What do we get here? Yeah, kind of 5 out of 10. I think you were nearly there. I think we're just like, if you know what I mean, like it's coming. I think is probably
it's coming. I think maybe later on this year we'll see. I guess we always wait for like the Red Hat distribution to, like that's typically what's drive like when there's Ubuntu or like a common version that has a kernel.
Yep. All right. Number 7.
And that's it's going to be quite, it's going to be balanced with the one one of my new predictions, which is it's kind of saying yes and no to this. So I still think it is becoming the operating model. There are still people who are very disillusioned with VMware and Broadcom. That's fair to say. And some are ready to think, okay, what if I could run my VM on Kubernetes? And maybe I'm kind of stepping ahead there, but what I'm also arguing is in this year's predictions is like VMware, and you spend time there, spend many years there. They had 25 years to build a very good product.
Yep.
With a great ecosystem, with virtualized compute storage networking, and Kubernetes was not built for VMs. So yes, I think it is becoming the operating model, but people will be like, what, it's harder than it looks. It's not just push a YAML and then I have my VMs like running as if it was in vCenter. It's going to be harder than that.
Yeah. I mean, I think fortunate enough to be at VM on Kubernetes Day in 2025, late last year. Like a packed room with 300-400 people in there. Like people are looking for a solution to migrate away from, and Kubernetes is it is the vCenter for containers. So why not have it as the vCenter for VMs, kind of moving forward? And I think becoming the operating model for VMs is kind of where we're at. But let's see. Big numbers. He's got a 7.5 out of 10 on this one.
Not on me.
There we go. All right. Prediction number 8. eBPF rejuvenates the networking industry.
Oh yes. No, this is one where I think I don't know the scores, but I feel like and since last year, I feel like there have been lots of validations around this, that we are and things that I didn't know would happen. I had no idea that Cisco was going to start using eBPF to secure its own like networking devices, right? That came out of the blue and it's brilliant. And one of the big part of the networking, if you look at networking, you get routers and switches, you can get firewalls. Clearly more and more firewalls are using eBPF. You have load balancers. We have the new load balancer that has been released last year, which is using eBPF. So and we see things like like SRv6 and EVPN, things being done with eBPF that we didn't think would be possible up until now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. And so does everybody else. So you got 6 out of 10.
Okay. Still
Take that.
room to grow.
All right. And the last prediction from 2025 was that Kubernetes networking adjusts to AI workloads.
Yes. So it was the one where I referred to the work from the Google developers around the DRA or DRANets, which
Yep.
and since then, so this was essentially the idea of using Kubernetes to like the dynamic resource allocations to also to be
Yep.
able to maybe access like a specific driver for networking purposes. And since that prediction was made, Google were on stage during KubeCon and they open source. I think they gave it to the CNCF.
Yep.
So I think that project is going somewhere. And again, it will take a little bit of time, but I think it's going in the right direction.
I mean, I would double down on that, and I think Rachel does. In that, so DRA donated to the CNCF. You can now dynamically allocate GPUs into your pods, and you can dynamically allocate, kind of all of the hardware that you need to do all of your inference and all that sort of jazz. The other thing really is a lot of work that's being done in SIG networking. So Gateway API project, they have now last year, in 2025, added in the AI. There's an inference gateway that's now been added.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. And now there is a new working group for AI gateways that's being added as well. So there's, basically we have load balancers, and we have, this, that, and the other. So the idea now is we will bring into the Kubernetes space first-class objects for, kind of objects that make sense from an AI perspective and things like that. So there's bringing in devices, there's bringing in, kind of all of the models which make sense and stuff like that. So you got 8 out of 10. I think you deserve much more than that, to be honest. I think that's
it's okay.
Okay. Well,
clearly they all hate me at ISO and they're just like downers.
Well, I'll have words. I think you did well. I think that was okay. I think you're
right.
right.
It's all right. It's all right. Let's see what this year will bring.
I'm going to use the magic ball again, just because my animation skills are just fantastic. So,
I don't know.
Right, let's kick things off. Your 2026 predictions. Where are we? Number 1. Well, open source usage goes under scrutiny. Ingress Nginx being a good example, but I guess
the point I'm making is so during KubeCon, the maintainer of Ingress Nginx, which is used by about half the user base of Kubernetes from what we've seen. They announced that they were no longer going to maintain the project because they just didn't have the time and resources to be able to do that. So there was a bit of panic, and actually that was probably the biggest news coming out of KubeCon. And I think in the coming weeks, as there's eventually going to be like a vulnerability or something in Ingress or something that needs to be fixed, and they won't be fixing it because again they are moving on, and that's really going to be when something hits the fan, when they have to go and operators have to go and replace it by whatever solution, right? So. And I think it's going to trigger people to think, okay, what else am I running in production? What other open source project am I running in production that could be what could be the next Ingress, like in terms of the tool I need to remove at relatively short notice, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, 100%. I mean, everybody's using open source, but there's not a lot. It's a pretty one-way gate, unfortunately. So, I mean, look after your open source maintainers, or they will go away.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I did when speaking to the maintainer around Ingress Nginx, telling me what their plans were and stuff like that, I kind of wandered around a few booths and I was watching some of the demos and stuff, and they do a kubectl get pods on their enterprise product that they were pitching. Having known that Ingress Nginx had now just been announced that the maintainers were stepping down, and seeing it listed there as something that they'd built their enterprise product on, I'm like,
Oops.
and clearly they gave nothing back to their open source maintainers. Like, well, I mean, this is your own doing to a certain degree. So yeah, it goes two ways.
And it is ChainGuard, they've announced they're kind of maintaining their some version of Ingress Nginx. Well, okay, they're not maintaining. They're providing some things, and I don't know if it's altruistic, opportunistic. It is something, but I don't think that's a sustainable model anyway, right? You should be relying on
a few projects which the maintainers have stepped down for, but I mean they don't have the knowledge to maintain it, so it's like, I think it's more of a marketing. That's my own personal opinion. Maybe I'll keep it to myself. Moving on. Cool. Right. Yeah. So open source is under scrutiny because see, somebody agrees with me at least. Right. Prediction number. We got So maybe this year, think about this. Think about how well Nico does, so that this time next year we can say, yes, Nico, you were right. 10 out of 10 on this one. Right. Number 2. I've put this in blue, or at least highlighted it, because what?
It's a terrible name. Somebody was asking me if I've copyrighted it already, but okay. Kubernetes networker is kind of, there's a bit, I was trying to make a point. It's like, you have typically the people in charge of networking in Kubernetes are the platform engineers.
Yeah.
And it could be for 2 reasons. Is one, because the network engineers look at Kubernetes and they're like, we're not interested. This is a bit of a black box. We're okay. We just do what you want with it. Maybe call us when you need to run BGP or are connected to the environment. The other reason is the other way, where platform engineers might be like, what, I don't want to involve the network engineers. They are, they don't understand what we do. We don't understand what they do. So they are intentionally kind of out of the picture. So, but I feel that there is a shift in terms of the networking engineering community is really trying to learn about Kubernetes and about networking, trying to get involved. Maybe they've seen, as Finneran becoming part of Cisco, maybe they've seen, projects that are growing. Maybe they're seeing things like that. They feel like they have to be involved because Kubernetes is being adopted and it has complex requirements. You need to think about like IPv6 and BGP and network overlay, and maybe if you do that cluster mesh and encryption, and I think that they're coming to realize that it would be a really nice skill to have. And I think maybe people have, if you're a network engineer, you've done, maybe in the past few years, you've been learning about net DevOps and network automation, and kind of, now you can either go into like AI or some kind of autonomous networking, or if you want to explore another, a cool area of networking, it's Kubernetes networking, and it's eBPF, and it's Cilium.
Yeah.
So, and again, these are my predictions. I'm like super biased. This is what I see. and again, that's blowing my own trumpet, but I see like my Cisco Live session, which is coming out which is in about 3 weeks now. And we're going to have one of the biggest room in the whole building,
Nice.
which is absolutely terrifying. But it's just because there are so many people that are excited to learn about it. So, yeah. So this is like something I am super excited about for this year.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think, there has always been, there's been people who build like the infrastructure for Kubernetes cluster. They get some servers, put an operating system on, string them all together on a network, hand it over, and then like the overlay network is something that's completely separate from the underlay network. And like that's always been two separate things. But yeah, to your point, with like BGP exposing what's happening inside the cluster, and it's all of a sudden like we need to suddenly start speaking to switches. We suddenly need to start speaking to people's precious, expensive networking switches and routers and stuff like that. So all of a sudden, it's like these two separate teams need to interact, and like one needs to understand what the other one is doing, and there is a blend happening between the two, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Well, fingers crossed you get a 10 out of 10 for that one next year.
Yeah. Let's see.
I don't know about the name though. Prediction number 3. VMs on Kubernetes lose their innocence.
Yeah, and maybe that's one we've talked about a little bit, right? Because we are seeing an increase in the interest of VM on Kubernetes. As you said, you were there. Will you be there at the next VM on Kubernetes Day? Is there one at KubeCon in Amsterdam?
There is going to be one at KubeCon. It's managed by Portworx, who will be doing a VM on Kubernetes Day. I believe if you are going, you can modify your ticket and add yourself to it I believe it's for free. I don't know. Okay. I can't remember. So if you do want to go learn more about that, and iSurveillance will be there. So Raymond will be there on stage. He'll be talking. I unfortunately won't, because I will be snowboarding at that time, so I'm not going to be at KubeCon this year, unfortunately.
Oh wow!
But I will still be doing exciting things. Yeah.
So I think again, I'm not being a downer on VM on Kubernetes. I still think it's going to massive grow in popularity. I think there's there's not going to be an overnight migration, of VMs on Kubernetes. I actually see VMware as a bit of like talk about mainframe before. I mean, VMware is going to be the new mainframe, and something that that people will be running for like the next 20 years, even if they know there might be a more like modern alternative to it. But that's I know it's controversial, but
no, I mean, the conversations that everybody's having, and I don't know if Dean or if Marcus is watching, I will be killed if I don't mention it. But you mentioned migration, and there's a lot of work that when I say very talented engineers inside of iSurveillance that are kind of doing a lot of work in order to kind of bridge gaps in terms of networking. So bring bits of Kubernetes networking inside of VMware and vice versa, in order to kind of smooth the path for migration. There's a lot of talks that are going to be delivered both at KubeCon and at Cisco Live, if you're there, which talk a lot about kind of the pain points of moving from VMware to kind of Kubernetes. Without going into it in too much detail, like you go from being in a flat network to all of a sudden being inside a pod, inside a Kubernetes cluster, and things like that. So there's a lot of technical changes that happen with VMs moving to Kubernetes, which we're spending a lot of engineering time now inside of iSurveillance in order to just generally make people's lives a lot easier to smooth that migration path, and hopefully let VMs lose their innocence on Kubernetes. Cool. Oh, we've got another prediction here. Joseph, predictions for 2027. is that Nico will predict the future of eBPF.
Maybe Joseph can
Intrigued.
help me. I know. I hope I still be there in 12 months' time, working on the next predictions.
Yeah, and I'm sure. Fingers crossed. Right, number 4, multi-cloud start to look real.
Yeah, I mean, multi-cloud is a funny thing. It's like we've been talking about this for so long.
Yes.
Concretely, I don't know that many people who do multi-cloud. And by multi-cloud, it's not just kind of public cloud, but also like deploying applications across either public and private or two public clouds. It's really hard. It's like different APIs, different systems, different standards. And I think one of the biggest challenges we had was the networking. If you wanted to go and connect a VNet to in Azure to a VPC in AWS, bit of a faff, right? Unless you have to do just like maybe you have to build some like a IPsec VPN.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to do use some transit gateway or use some third-party products. Maybe use Equinix. I don't know. But what was announced at reInvent around this AWS interconnect, which is an open, relying on an open API standard for connecting, cloud environments. And it's something they've announced with Google, and I'm just curious to see if there's going to be something with Azure as well. But the idea that you can interconnect a Google VPC with an AWS VPC by making a couple of API calls, that's attractive.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree again. I think it's been very tough, and I've often seen we've got a multi-cloud strategy, but it's effectively we're all in on one cloud provider, and we have DR in a we have basically a poor copy that we don't have the backup shipped over properly to in a different cloud provider and things like that. And cloud providers have never really wanted it to make it that easy for people to share between. I mean, why would you, I suppose, if you're making megabucks by keeping your garden walled?
Or multi-cloud was like you would ask somebody like, "Are you a multi-cloud?" And, "Oh yeah, we're multi-cloud. We run like Office 365 and EC2." And so like just do like totally different use cases, right? So
brilliant.
Not you don't just be able to just say, "Oh, I'm just going to turn off Office 365 and run it in." It was just like we are using multiple clouds, but like ships in the night just have no really kind of not one backing up the other.
Yeah,
I'm hoping is that we will be possible in this year.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there are some startups that have appeared as well to assist in kind of doing these sorts of things. But it's intriguing as well, because I think when we say cloud here as well, that's kind of changed a little bit as well. I mean, I heard the term for the first time like a week or so ago. But obviously you've got public cloud, you got private cloud as in on-prem and things like that. You have AI infrastructure clouds, apparently, that's the thing. And now you have a thing called a Neo cloud, which I'm not 100% sure what that is. But that's yet another thing to try and mesh together as well at this point. So there's a lot going on.
My understanding of Neo Cloud was like a GPU as a service through an API. That was kind of they don't have like a nice fancy UI or console like AWS or service. They've got lots of GPU you can go and consume. But that's kind of how I understand it.
All right. Prediction number 5. Nano segmentation takes off.
Yeah, that's
How
another
fine
of
grain
my.
Do we need to be?
what's after Nano? Is it Pico? Whatever.
Yes,
I
it
don't
would be
know.
pico
Yeah.
segmentation.
Yeah, and and I've been kind of trying to. We've been talking about microsegmentation for a while, and and I think we can provide a bit more granularity to how we define these things. Um, and we have macro segmentation with an A, which is kind of at a higher level, and that's kind of zone-based firewalling to some extent. And then I would even say you have mega firewall, which is like the Great Firewall of China, which is kind of this is like the biggest firewall, if you like.
Yep.
But then you can go, it's we talk about defense in depth, and that's kind of what I'm saying here. It's like you can have multiple layers. You can have obviously separating your internet, the internet from your private environment. Again, that's more at the macro level. But then we go down into the application itself and using runtime security, again, using things like eBPF. And again, for example, Tetragon, you can really limit what a particular application is able to do. I think I think it's going to take off. I still think it's pretty complex.
Yep.
But I think it's coming, and I think the more we make it easy for users to deploy, then the faster we'll see it adopted. And I think that's kind of hopefully where our surveillance and eBPF can help.
All right, cool. Prediction number 6. iSurveillance influence inside Cisco becomes visible. I saw this and thought, well, I work in iSurveillance. I'm going to put a Cisco t-shirt on, so I'm iSurveillance inside of Cisco, and I'm visible.
And I know it's not it's a kind of eBPF and Cilium web live stream, so slightly self-centric, but I think it's what Cisco is still the biggest networking company in the universe. And
so a bold
if
statement.
you see, I'm bold like this. But no, but say if you see the influence of eBPF networking and security in the largest networking company, then I think it's going to spread out to the entire networking industry, right? And I think it's already happening. You already see eBPF in other big networking companies. So I'm not. So I think this is why I wanted to mention it. It's not just being just looking at your own company, but and we are seeing more and more use cases of iSurveillance being used inside Cisco. Tetragon running on Cisco devices. We have some work around EVPN, which is super exciting. It's kind of using some new form of like a network overlay, if you like. And we have the load balance. So we're going to see more and more ways and that iSurveillance is being used within Cisco. Which and I think to the fact that our chief product officer G2 said that iSurveillance was one of the most strategic acquisitions ever by Cisco. That's a good sign.
100%. I mean, I just feel like you buy a new switch from Cisco, you poke around a little bit, and there we are already. Like a year and a half in, 2 years or whatever. Like we are now slowly making our way onto Cisco devices everywhere.
And faster than maybe I would have expected. Like because Cisco has a mixed reputation in terms of integrating acquisitions. Right, there's some of it that's gone not very well, right? So
I don't think that's necessarily a Cisco thing. I mean, like
no.
I was acquired and went to join VMware, and I had a lot of fun at VMware, but it was chaotic at best. Cool. I've got a couple of last few. Identity becomes humanoid, and policy has to follow.
Yeah, I guess the last two are kind of around MCP, and again, some of the experiments I've been doing, but and I guess I'm thinking about using an MCP server, and it has this ability to now. I guess it's not the MCP server. It's more like the coding agent that is doing things on your behalf. And it might be through an MCP, but and you almost have to find a new way to define the identity of a coding agent. What do you want it to do? What do you let it do on your behalf? And yes, we've had things like service account and cloud keys that would do things on your behalf, but it was more deterministic. You kind of knew what they were going to do or what they were allowed to do. There are a set of
set of verbs and a set of assets that those verbs could act on and things like that. It was black and you know what I mean.
And I find it's just much harder to say to your agent, "Oh, you're only allowed to do this." It's kind of, like in VS Code, is either in ask mode where you can ask it question, or it's agent and it just goes and it's like, "Yeah, let's go and create network."
What could go wrong?
Yeah, it's the YOLO kind of thing, It's
that sounds like a Friday thing, does that?
Yeah. So my prediction is we need to find a way to secure this kind of agentic AI and define the identity of our agents, and then you have the policy, because identity without policy and vice versa, it's kind of irrelevant. So define what an agent is, and then policy define what the agent can do in where. Otherwise you'll end up with chaos.
100%. You'll end up with YOLO. Yeah, I mean, this is certainly the sort of thing that we're starting to see Tetragon, basically sandbox agents. We can say YOLO, but also we can say Tetragon, don't let them YOLO.
Nice.
Don't delete anything. If it's the agent trying to do anything, it can do these things, but it certainly is not allowed to do this, that, and the other. It's such an easy way of ring fencing and sandboxing agentic behavior. Cool. Well, fingers crossed on that one. And the final one, MCP unlocks real use cases and real risk.
Yeah, and again, I did some tests back in October, which I was just surprised by how little work it took me to get an MCP server. So Azure built an MCP server. Actually has some Cilium and Hubble support. So what I did, I went on VS Code and I set up my Copilot agent, and there's an option that says MCP servers. Right? So you define your MCP servers and you can run it as a binary or as a container. And the MCP server is again, that's kind of the interface, where they describe it as a USB-C standard, kind of a common interface for the agent to interact with. And then I started, and I was first I started without Cilium and Hubble, and I talked to my agent and I said, "Can you go and check the health of my Kubernetes server?" And Copilot, I'll let Copilot access my kubeconfig, and he looked at the health of my pods and everything is fine. Then I'll add read-only support for Cilium and Hubble, and it goes and checks the Cilium, runs commands like Cilium status or Hubble observe, and it's like, oh, here is logs, and I can see that your front end is talking to the back end. I can see that your CDO nodes, are running well. And then you're like, okay, well, let's just flip the configuration and just make it admin, give it admin power. And I'll just, it's just okay. I'm running a kind cluster on my laptop, so what could go wrong? But actually, it did create. I said, like, go observe the traffic and create network policies.
Okay.
Super impressed by the quality of the network policies.
Okay, that's good.
So that's happening, and since I did this, I'm talking to some customers. There are large massive customers now evaluating this and doing this in proof of concept. And what they do is they would then integrate with, CI/CD pipeline and say, okay, network policies, I'll push them through GitHub, and I will review them. I get a human to review them. And if it's a network policy that only affects my test namespace, okay, approve, let's go.
Yeah, do what you need to do.
Okay. Yeah, and if it affects a live system or share, like, kube system namespace or a specific, production cluster, yes, you have you have some kind of manual human that has to improve it. But I guess what surprised me in the past few months is how quickly people are doing this and building systems themselves, and really trying to do the things. And what I said in my blog post is, like, creating firewall rules and dealing with YAMLs are the two worst things in the world for an engineer.
True.
So
100% true.
Imagine you can just let the system do it for you, right? That's what the machine should be good at.
Yeah, I mean, YAML is meant to be kind of, human readable JSON or whatever, but I mean, it's still
pain,
indentation nightmare and stuff like that. It's still a nightmare.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. Cool. I was expecting to say, when you kind of let things go and thinking of the and real risk, like, next thing you suddenly started, like, mining crypto in your cluster and doing who knows what. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are your predictions for 2026. We are just over the top of the hour, so I think one last thing, if I can quickly pop out of here, is if you want to read these in more detail, if you go to the Isovalent blog, and on there you will find Nico's networking and eBPF predictions for 2026 and beyond. Feel free to grade them. Have your scores ready for this time next year, when who knows what will be happening next year. We'll see how Nico's done. Hopefully he's done well. I think on the money on quite a lot of that, to be quite honest.
Yeah, let's hope so. And maybe we're giving people some ideas for their own eBPF startup.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, 100%. Cool. All right. Well, before we go, is there any other predictions, anything front of mind that you have, Nico, that maybe you've suddenly realized halfway through this?
I think my prediction is in the next hour I'm going to eat some chocolate.
Okay, can't argue with that. 10 out of 10 on that one then. Cool. All right. Well, thank you again, as always, Nico, and thank you again, everybody else who has joined today's session. And yeah, as Tony says, that was a fun session. And to everybody who has joined, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you very much, Nico.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, and bye.